I was lucky enough to go on safari in Botswana in March, and it was just one of the most incredible experiences of my life. To actually see these wild animals, which are undergoing a lot of issues with humans, was just the best. Most people that have gone on safari, the chances are they've saved up a lot of money to actually get the chance to do it, and they've probably saved up to stay in fancy accommodation. In my case, I didn't. I actually slept in a camp. I slept in a tent, and I was with the wild animals. If a lion wanted to walk into the campsite, it can, and that did happen actually. It happened on my last day. And that was just an extraordinary experience, just hearing in the early hours of the morning and thinking, there's a lion outside my tent. For whatever reason, there was a lone female, a lone lioness, walking around the camp, just making calls early in the morning. And it was just incredible, but freaky knowing that you have one of the most powerful predators in Africa right next to you. There's no words for that. You know, unless if you experience it, it's just hard to explain what that's like. There was also another experience similar to that, but with a herd of elephants that walked into the camp in the late hours of the day. And I had just gone to bed and I laid my head against the pillow and I could hear the sound of rumbling. And I knew as soon as I could hear this weird sound that I've never heard with my ears before in real life, that's an elephant. That's a herd of elephants coming towards us. And it wasn't until about 15 minutes later that the guides reacted and made sure that everyone was safe and that they were in their tents and that nothing was going to happen, with the interactions between the animals and the humans. And that was just incredible. And of course, during this whole situation, I needed the toilet, and I couldn't go. I basically had to pee outside my tent and then go quickly back into it. So, again, that's an experience that is really hard to explain unless if you actually get into it yourself. It's insane and it's amazing. And I'm never gonna forget that. But with a lot of other stuff, I was able to actually film it and photograph it, and this is the awesome part that you get to actually dive into the experiences that I got. So on our first day that we went to Botswana, we actually encountered lions, probably within the first hour of our trip. And apparently that doesn't really happen, so we were really lucky on that front. And then the next day we encountered a family, a pride of lions, and we were the first humans to be seen by these lion cubs. And you could see that these lion cubs were like, what are these weird things? What are they? To the humans. And it's just remarkable to be one of the first humans to see those young animals. And, all I can do now is cross my fingers and hope that they do really well. But amazing, amazing things to just see these animals for the first time before anyone else. But of course, after that, you eventually realize just how important the herbivores are. They are everywhere, just wildebeest, zebra, antelope, just scattered all over the place. And surprisingly, we also saw a lot of giraffe. And it really was just amazing, being a dinosaur enthusiast, to see some of the largest land animals on the planet. At the end of the day, these are the closest animals that I'm going to get the experience of having some kind of relation to how big dinosaurs were. And it was just incredible to actually get that respect with these animals by seeing them for real in the wild where they belong. My favorite experience has to be when we went into an elephant herd, because I was actually on a seat on the bonnet of the vehicle. So I'm actually on front of it and we're driving into this herd, and there was a point where I'm like, oh no. We're just getting super close to these animals. But then we stopped. The elephants began to recognize us, and they made a point of saying, look at me, I'm really big, don't mess with me, I'm going to continue with my business now. And that has to be one of my favorite moments. I never really thought that would happen. I never thought I would get that close to them, and I just have so much respect for them because I remember being in school and doing a drawing of elephants when we were supposed to do a project based on our favorite animals. So I was about 5 years old when I made this, and I did it about elephants. So to actually get out there and see wild elephants was just remarkable, and that particular experience I'm never gonna forget.
A bull with 3 legs at the back.
But then there was another experience where we got really close to an elephant herd, and there was a calf, and that was just wonderful. It's just wonderful to see these amazing animals with their incredible social skills, and it really helps being able to relate to them on that front. I also have to say, I wasn't expecting to see cheetahs, they're quite rare, but we saw a mother and 3 cubs. And I was a big fan of Big Cat Diaries, and for some reason, I always kind of like the stories more for the cheetahs compared to those with the lions and the leopards. And that was just wonderful. I mean, we heard rumors that there was a cheetah family nearby. I wasn't particularly expecting to see them, but then after a few hours of driving about, we got them, and it was just amazing. And then they started performing for us as well, and they started climbing the tree that was near them, and it was just amazing. It really is. It really is to just get this experience, and I can only hope that people who haven't had the chance yet do get to experience it one day, because it really gives some kind of idea of how important these animals are and how important it is that they have their own home as well. I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't get to see a leopard with my own eyes, but one of the things that I got to do was set up camera traps, and several occasions I caught leopards on my camera trap, and I was very happy with that. Definitely, I loved the fact that I was able to see these animals from a camera point of view that I had set up. Also, on the camera traps, one of my pieces of footage caught a spotted hyena in the daytime, which wasn't heard of by anyone else that set up camera traps. So I was really impressed with that. That was great. I didn't get to see any of the big animals make a hunt, but I did see a solifuge of a camel spider attack a beetle, and we watched that for some time. I'm planning on getting that video uploaded after this as well. And that was just insane to see this relative of spiders just crunching through the shell of this beetle, the exoskeleton. You can really hear it in the video, and oh, it gets through your spine. And people that have a fear of spiders, oh, that is nothing compared to this thing. One of the things that I was fantasizing that I could do though when I was in Botswana is actually be able to experience some cultural element to the country. And it actually happened. There was a group of locals who performed singing and dancing, and I was actually able to take part. They actually kept asking me to come up and dance with them, and so everybody pretty much at the campsite just started dancing and singing with the locals, and it was just a wonderful experience. So we're just dancing around this campfire, and I'll just never forget that. One of the most beautiful birds that we saw was the lilac-breasted roller, and that was a beautiful bird. It has all colours of the rainbow on it. Beautiful bird. The other bird is a Mealy starling, and it's not quite as attractive as the lilac-breasted roller. No offense. One of the experiences I'm never going to forget, though, is that I did 2 night watches. So on 2 occasions, we went to 2 different locations. In the wild, we set up a fire. I just had a sleeping bag. That was going to be my bed for the night. And we're sharing this land with wild animals. And so each person would spend an hour on duty to keep watch to make sure that no animals would come into camp. When I was doing it, I'm pretty sure that we could hear panting from a lion coming in close proximity of us. Luckily, nothing was needed to scare it off or have any concern over that, but it was very real. We were out there with the animals, and if anything wanted to check us out, they could. There was no barrier. These were wild animals, and we were sharing their land. It was just amazing. As someone who's interested in natural history, it was an experience that was just beyond anything that I've ever had before with wildlife. And I hope I get to experience it again. I will post some of Africa after this video, and then, who knows? But I'm sure I'm going to be getting onto some really exciting videos, and I have all sorts of ideas coming into mind. So thank you, and I hope to be back soon.